First person I'm going to introduce you to is a young person here in the city of Detroit. And I have, as I got a little gray in my beard and a little more time on the planet, I have come to really think about young people's role in this city very differently. I've come to look more to them, to understand more about our city and the way things are going, the way they should go. I've looked to them to learn a lot about myself and our community. And our first storyteller tonight is a young journalist here in the city of Detroit. Imani Mixon is an incredible native Detroiter who went away to school and decided that she was going to come back to the city of Detroit to pursue her journalism career, to tell stories, not just about her own city, but about her own neighborhood. And think of how important that is. Think of how important it is for us to be able to tell our own stories about who we are and where we're from. Imani Mixon is somebody who inspires me all the time in that way. And I know when she gets up here tonight, she's going to do it for all of you. So, Imani, take the stage.
Ooh. This time last year, I was waking up on Saturday mornings, taking a shower, put on a fresh face of makeup, and inviting my across the alleyway neighbor and videographer, Joe, over to do some heavy lifting. You see, we were making my itty-bitty midtown apartment into a TV show set for YouTube. But we moved my reading desk and my writing chair into my kitchen, moved out my white blinds, put heavy drapes there, and got little pieces of tape to put in the middle of the room so we could remember how to do this next week. We were building the set for season 1 of Proper Nouns, hosted by the city proper, which is also me. And it will be one-on-one, in-depth interviews with the most creative and talented in Detroiters here, who were also my homies. So there's a few things that I knew I wanted. I grew up on media, I pay attention to TV shows, and it's just some stuff that wasn't gonna cut it. No cards, we weren't doing that. I was gonna look you in the face, actively listen, and we were gonna have a conversation. Another thing I wasn't gonna do is wake up on Saturday mornings and try to figure out what to wear. So I got my favorite mustard yellow jumpsuit design, gave it to my friend Nabila, who was also up the street in Boston Edison, and she turned it into 4 other colors. So I had a mustard, a black, a lavender, a cream, and a red, which means a new jumpsuit for every single show, every single episode. I didn't think it'd be fiscally responsible to get new shoes, so if you watch the show, I'm barefoot for a reason. And the other thing I just knew I needed, because it wouldn't be right without it, were mugs, branded mugs, just like Oprah. So I ordered 2 little pink ones. We put it on a little pink table, and we had 2 chairs that Joe had gotten from his grandparents' cabin, and we had a set. Now, on the mugs were the words city and proper. And that's a nod back to the blog that I started from my dorm room at Northwestern in 2012, because those magazine classes just were not cutting it for me. And in order for y'all to understand why it was such a big deal for me to be in front of the camera, not behind it, not writing it, you have to understand that my whole life I've been running from the camera. I just felt like if I'm doing broadcast, my face is a little too honest, it's not gonna work out, and it's just no way I can do this. Another thing you have to understand is that I've only ever wanted to be a writer. So I grew up reading and writing. And there's this story my mom likes to tell about me coming home from maybe pre-K whenever you learn your alphabet, and I'm perturbed, I'm upset. I said, Mom, we gotta go to the store. And I like to think I was a little more polite than that. But we were learning our alphabet in class, and it's like, what, 26 letters? That's a lot. That's a lot of new things to learn. So I said, Ma, I need a poster. I need to see these out. I'm not about to go in that class and make a fool of myself. And to this day, she says I study for it like the bar. But I know my alphabet. Okay, so it must have worked. I learned how to read. Soon I'm reading and writing, and I go to, I'm just going through school really good at reading, right? So I'm in 3rd grade and my teacher notices that I'm bringing books to class, I'm following her lessons, and she came to my mom one day when she came to pick me up, like, Lisa, we gotta, she needs better than this. She needs a little bit more information than this. So you gotta keep her after school. Like, we need her to stay here after school to read some more. We did that for a little bit. I loved it. We're reading Black Beauty. I thought it'd be black girls in it. It's about a horse, whatever. But finally, after a few months, she got my mom again and was like, yeah, she just gotta go. It's more than reading. She needs to be in a new place. So this new place meant that I had to visit a few different schools. I had to leave the school I was at and go somewhere else. Now, I don't know what normal rides to school are like. I remember what it was like before this moment. I remember waking up early, going to my grandma's house, getting me ready, I'm going to school. But on this particular day, when I'm going to visit my next school, my 4th grade class, we are leaving my house in Morningside on East Outer Drive in my dad's, one of his big old trucks, and driving down Lakeshore, looking at all these huge houses on the left and this beautiful water on the right-hand side to go up a circular drive where there's a headmaster of the school opening every single door and greeting every single student before you come in. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should go here. So we get in there. I'm there for the day. I have to see if I like this school. And I made it through the classes. Obviously, I'm keeping up. I'm definitely like, okay, if I come, I need to have friends when I get here. So let's hurry up and try to make some. And now it's bathroom break time. So I'm washing my hands, smiling at everybody just in case they want a friend too. And this girl, Christina Alvarez, right, comes right up next to me and washes her hands too and goes, "You're from Detroit, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Can you read?" Can I read? I'm here because I read too much. Like, can Imani Mixon read? Yeah, I can read. It didn't say it like that. I probably came home and cried. But that's what should have happened. So I did end up going to that school. I won a spelling bee. I just did all the stuff I was supposed to do. I'm showing out. I'm only one of a few black kids, so I got to go really hard, right? Exactly. So then I make it to high school in West Bloomfield, where my mom teaches or is a counselor, and I'm on the magazine class. I'm doing everything I can do related to writing, but still don't really know what I want to do. And that time comes where it's like, look, you got to stop playing. Things are changing. What are you doing after high school? Where are you trying to go? So I turned to my trusty companion, Google, and I looked up best careers for writers. First thing that came up, journalism. Then I Googled best schools for journalism, Northwestern University. Looks like I gotta go to Northwestern University. And I remember like the intensity of like trying to get into school, talking about the testing, trying to see where people are gonna go. And I was in one class and we were just talking about where we've applied to, what is our top choice. And I said Northwestern again in class, and this girl just looks at me, doesn't really say anything. But the next day, she comes back with a piece of paper. And we're talking again. She's like, "Where'd you say you want to go again?" And I was like, "Northwestern." She said, "You know they have a 17% acceptance rate?" I said, "Uh-huh, yeah." And I just left it at that. I got in. And that was in 2010. So I pack all my stuff. I've spent my whole life in Detroit, ready to go. It's too small. It's nothing to do here. Nobody does the same thing as me. I'm going to Chicago. Kanye is from there. I'll be fine. So I made it, and I arrive, and some of my classmates include Tom Hanks' son, President Fitzgerald from Scandal, his daughter. Those are the kind of people that are sitting next to me. All good and well. And then I'm making it in my magazine classes, and I look around, and I remember one day just being like, my peers are the people who are about to be making big decisions. These are the people who are going to be hiring and firing this next generation of writers, and none of them look like me, and none of them have anything in common with me, so I feel like I should stick around and figure this out. Now, I'm studying magazine journalism, and I've loved magazines since probably about 6th grade. I got my first subscription. I love the perfume samples. I love the big pictures. I love finding out what Halle Berry had for breakfast and how J-Lo keeps her butt. Like, I just loved it so much. The only thing I didn't really like was reading about, where to go on vacation in Europe in the wintertime, and how to dye my blonde hair even blonder during the summer with lemon squeeze. Didn't relate, couldn't relate. So the whole time I'm there, I'm physically there, I'm trying to take advantage of everything, but just something is not relating, which is how the blog came in, the city proper. I started it in my dorm room in 2012, writing 3 articles a week, 1 art, 1 music, 1 culture, and pushing them out just so I could have something else to rely on. So I make it through Chicago, make it through Northwestern and graduate, and I still don't really have my footing. I don't have enough to end up somewhere and have a perfect job, and I'm just trying to stick it out. I'm working retail down on Rush Street, downtown, just busting my butt. And I remember my aunt called me one day, and she was like, your cousin De'Ara is moving with one of her best friends in Detroit. You could come back at any point, and we got you. And I hung up the phone. Oh, my auntie, you can't do that. So like millennials are wont to do, I texted her hey, I'm sorry, that was a bad thing, but I just didn't want to hear it. I could not handle the fact that you think I should come back home. I know home, I've been home, I know what it's about. Then I ran out of money. So I came back with a smile on my face, and a job, a salary job, right? So it's in marketing, right? So if you're in journalism school, the first thing they tell you is you're going to be broke, right? And that just didn't sit right with my spirit. We've done enough of that. So I came back, I'm in a marketing job, I'm trying to smile, I'm trying to write. There's ping pong tables and beanbag chairs, and I just don't really understand why we need that in the workplace, but here I am. So I'm grinning and bearing it. And around my birthday, I got a feeling Imani, if you don't bust out, you will never do anything you want to do. You'll keep making excuses. You'll be really, really comfortable. So we had a meeting, and marketing people were like, yo, we don't know. They didn't say yo. They did not say yo. Sorry. They said Imani. We don't think this is a good culture fit. If we keep going like this, you're not going to be here for much longer, and we'll be having a different conversation. Didn't say anything then. I just looked at him in the face, went to my lunch, called my boyfriend, called my mom, called my daddy, look, I'm about to quit, don't be mad at me. I went back upstairs and said, we can have this conversation right now. Okay, quit my job right for my birthday. It was the greatest gift I've ever given myself. And then right after that, probably within a 3-week period, I get a meeting with Aaron Mondry, who was then the editor-in-chief of Model D and is now the editor-in-chief of Curb Detroit. And they were looking for someone to go to this place called the North End to report on it for 3 months. So I'm from Detroit. I've been up and down Woodward. I'm not good at directions, but I get places. But I don't know the names of neighborhoods like that. So the North End felt like just some faraway concept. And now it's time to show up for work. So I'm there for 10 weeks, and I have to write a news story every week, which means you don't have time to just chill out. You got to get on the ground. It's literally called On the Ground, the program. Meet people and write stories. And I remember the first meeting we had with the community is me, the publishers, and the community members. And Model D is like, yeah, we are looking so forward to partnering with you. And God bless elderly church ladies for the truth, because it was somebody sitting at that first table, and she said, what makes you think we want to partner with you? And that's exactly when I found out what it would be like to report in Detroit. You can't just show up and dip out. You got to show up. You got to stay. You got to go to backyard barbecues. You got to knock on some doors. You got to do the whole thing. You got to put in the work, even if you're from here. So I So I spent those 10 weeks just actively listening, being honest about what I didn't know about, what I wanted to hear about, asking them what they felt like the news wasn't doing for them and trying to fill those gaps. And I'm grateful for that first step because every other neighborhood I've been in since then has been that same kind of relationship. So I did that for those 10 weeks, and then all of a sudden, I got a little DM on my Twitter DMs, different than Instagram, from Michigan Radio saying, hey, we see you're doing neighborhood reporting. Maybe you want to apply for this job. And I'm like, this is great. I just had no jobs. Now I might have 2. So I look at the posting and I'm still kind of like, I don't know. I was kind of freelancing, coming in and out of the North End. I don't know if I can commit to sitting down in somebody's office every day again because it didn't go good the first time. And then I opened up the little blog post that had the job description. And I scroll down. And I don't pray too much. Me and Jesus and God and all of them talk all the time. I just don't pray. But I'm scrolling down and I'm like, I need a sign. Before we go any further, I need a sign about what to do. I'm not kidding. In the middle of that page was a picture of the childhood home that I grew up in on East Outer Drive that we were driving from to go down to La La Land and Grosse Pointe Academy. And I was like, okay. So the assignment was you go for a year, you bring audio recorders, and you teach the neighborhood people how to make their own podcast episodes happen. Right. And that's called Morningside 48224. It's on all streaming services right now. So I show up with the recorders. I'm literally in my home, not even just my hometown, my neighborhood. It's where I grew up. There's people who are still there that never left when we had to leave, right? So I'm there, I'm learning how to do audio and teaching people how to do audio, and I'm just like, wow, this is my life. I have complete control over my schedule. I get to hang out. We get to just share skills. And Morningside was a beautiful, beautiful thing that I never thought I'd be able to do. And during this whole time, I feel like I always need some extra project in the back to feed my soul. So the city proper was that in college, Proper Nouns was that last year, but also a part of that was having the Metro Times behind me too. So one of the best stories I wrote for them was last year during Movement Festival weekend, I got a little message, before Movement Festival weekend, I got a message from the editor-in-chief techno is a black art form. I'm like, yeah, tell me more. And he's like, well, we have this one article that's really short and it goes viral every time Movement Festival weekend happens and we need to update it. We need it to feel more real. And I'm like, more black? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, great, that's me. So I was able to interview every single founder of techno. I had the cover story during, Movement weekend. I got backstage passes and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, my student loans are finally paying off. They're not all the way. But they're starting to. So yeah, it's just beautiful. Coming home was the single best decision I've ever made in my life, and it wasn't on purpose, but it was with my purpose in mind. And I think that's what I've learned being back home is that voice that I needed, that voice in the bathroom next to me, Imani, you don't have to take this, yeah, you know how to read. That voice in the classroom, you can make it to Northwestern because you said you were gonna go. That voice in the boardroom, you need to get out of here because you don't belong, is what I carry with me. For me, media means that you take that voice and you give it volume. You turn it all the way up so it's no way you can ignore it anymore. And media is not just breaking news, it's breaking through to the heart and the soul of the story. And I hope that every single person here can use their voice for something bigger and greater and more beautiful than them.